Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, ooh, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is Between the Headlines. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some current issues here happening. With me to do this is Mr. Jimmy Eastmans, who's joining us from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, Dennis, glad to be here, man. We got a few good things lined up for the audience tonight, and I'm ready to go.
And talking about good things lined up, we have, CMC, the Citizen Movement for Change, has been in the news lately. We're going to discuss a few things and see where the party is going. There have been some may call it distraction, or some bottlenecks, or some, the best thing to do sometimes is to just be in the news. We're also going to talk about the Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs, Karishma. Was she fired? Did she resign? What's going on there? Somebody was telling me, say, what was she doing there in the first place? We're going to dig a little deeper. Also, there was a lot of talk about who was going to replace the former or the late Sylvester Grisby as the Minister of Presidential Affairs for President Bouakai. A lot of names were floated. At the end, the president played it safe. Got his old-time buddy, his old-time chief of staff, Sam Steve Quia, to be the one to replace the late Honorable Grisby. Who is Sam Steve Quia, and what message is President Bouakai sending by bringing in Sam Steve Quia instead of all the other people we were talking about? Let us not forget, President Bouakai is coming to the U.S. for the Diaspora Conference this month, and probably next month he's going to be here for the UN General Assembly. The president is traveling. What's the issue here? Is it what he's bringing back? Is it about transparency? Is it about, prioritizing and see what, how we can streamline things? Jimmy, these are all the things that are on the menu. How are you feeling about them?
I think there's some really hot issues. There's been a lot of gossip, especially with the departure of Karishma. And just like you say, the presidential appointeship, that is interesting. Are we about to see a new era, or is it going to be same old business as usual with this transition? And the president's travels. Well, for one thing, he is getting around. What are we yielding? That is what we will discuss.
Where you want for us to start?
Let's start with Karishma. Let's get that out the way real quick.
Yeah, Karishma. First of all, our interview, Karishma had been on focus on Liberia. When she was appointed, I really didn't know that she was part of the Unity Party. I don't know. I didn't follow her that well. I thought she was first CDC and later Unity Party. What has been her political career? Do you know?
Yeah, well, she ran against Yeke Koluba.
Yeah.
At the time, and I consider that funny, because Yeke also was backing the Buckeye candidacy. So how can your two on the same side? How can your two contest? And you heard Yeke saying, "Well, there's not a beauty contest." So it was our beauty contest. She finished winning long time.
No, I thought. When she ran against Yeke because. This other lady, the Inspector General for Commerce, she ran against Yeke too.
I don't know. I think she was running for somebody else, but she was a supporter. So when she lost the election, she simply started backing President Buckeye, and later we saw her that she was appointed at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as assistant minister. But looked like she got in some, as they say in French, sale drap with the minister.
Yeah,
I think there was some exchanges going on. There was some episodes of not knowing who to follow and copying. I hear that some memorandums were copied to subordinates of the minister. So it looked largely, let me tell you, critically. And when I heard Buckeye the other day talking, say that people, they're not trained. It seemed that it was a training issue, and the protocol was not observed, and that's what led to the fracas. The misunderstanding. When you've been appointed as assistant minister, the minister is your boss, and you just have to comply whatever they say. So before the minister can make a case out of you, you have to show him or her insubordination or direct refusal to comply with the minister's directives. So,
and that was Geraldine Davis, the lady who was running around.
Yeah, that was Geraldine. Yeah, they really wanted to do to get Yeke out of that seat.
Yeah. So let's start with this office of assistant minister. And if you go on Karishma Facebook page, she's there as Honorable Karishma Pelham Rad, diplomat and network engineer, Minister for International Organization. She didn't say assistant, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Harvard trained, BBA, MA.
Yeah.
I mean, if you follow her track record, was she even qualified for this position? Or is it the same old connection?
From what you just said alone is enough to have gotten her in some bad books, like by not distinguishing herself as assistant minister. I'm looking at her profile now. It says Interim Ministry of International Organization, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Yeah, you can see there's some conflict there. And whether she was qualified or not, well, there are people who vetted. I think she does have a degree, but I don't know if she had any prior experience in foreign affairs, and I don't know if she went to the school. We have a school of foreign affairs,
right? And that's the problem even having with the Buckeye's foreign, his diplomatic mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see. I don't know all of them, but I don't see much experience, right? Because Liberia has been in this foreign thing for a long time. And so by now we have a lot of diplomats. And Jimmy, you were born in diplomacy, right? when you see, and nothing against them, George Solo, Italy, the guy in Japan, the
Oh,
magic, the magic winner,
yeah, yeah.
Appleton is
Appleton.
in Japan, and all these people. Uh, my friend from Imam Dukle, uh, not that I mean, I don't know if they have been around that foreign institute. Now, Karishma, even the foreign minister, Bachelor Yanti, I think her record comes from working in the relief sector of UN and all that. What is President Bouakai thinking when it comes to these foreign ministry appointments?
Well, I think the first thing is clear that you have to be a loyalist.
Yeah.
You have to have backed him, and even though I believe in the beginning, Yanti was running as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you threw your weight behind the rescue mission, then you looks like that was the main thing that got them where they are today.
Then you get
So
something.
yeah, so by backing now, when it comes to qualifications and the vetting process, remember one time there were so many people who were involved. I think we had Yumbly, we had Dillon. So
Yeah.
people were questioning, how were they coming up with these different appointments? And the only common denominator that I have seen is that you had to be part of that rescue bandwagon.
Elections have consequences, Jimmy. Judge Bush said, I have my political capital, I have to spend it. So that's President Buakai's political capital. Give it to whoever is supporting you.
That's right.
And when I were talking about this, someone raised an issue that I thought was, very important. This whole idea of assistant minister. We're talking about a bloated government. We don't have money. What does an assistant minister actually do? I
Okay,
mean,
that
we
I can
already have
speak
the
to.
deputy. Yeah, we already have the deputy.
That I can speak to.
Yeah.
The reasons why you have because they concentrate on certain regions. Like the Assistant Minister of African Affairs, he will concentrate on the affairs of Africa. Then they got a Assistant Minister of maybe European, or the European the ECA over there. That has its own focus and concentration. Then you have maybe the Assistant Minister for Americas. So what they divided in a way that your focus is on a certain region. Okay.
And Jimmy, I get that. I'm trying to interrupt, right? You and I work here in the United States. So if you were to walk me, I'm not saying you are there, but if you were to walk me through, 9 to 5 of an assistant minister of foreign affairs, then Monday through Friday, what would that be? What would that look like? Let's say this person is focused on Latin America.
Yeah.
So from Monday 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, what do you do? From Monday to Friday, what do you do? What would that look like?
Well, there's several countries in these regions, and what you're doing is building relationships with these countries, trade relations, various exchanges. So you're always communicating with these nations back and forth, the envoys, the ongoings of those regions. So you're preoccupied with everything. A lot of diplomacy. Let me tell you this: a lot of it is legal spying. You want to know what's going on in this country, everything they're doing, so you can inform your leaders how to adjust, how to behave, or how to comment on the things that go on. You don't want to be surprised, like if they're going to have a overthrow in Latin America, and you supporting the current leader and sending messages, then all of a sudden he's gone. Then your people didn't inform you. Now, if you know that very well that the man has a lot of opposition, you may adjust your communication with the current the head until the transition happens. So we need to be informed about what's happening in these countries. We need to build relationships. We need to build some bilateral relationships and see where we can benefit from them. That is the reason why we have that division.
Yeah. So in the morning from maybe from 8 to 10, you, anyway, I mean, sometimes find it hard to understand how we try to mimic rich nations, right?
Mm,
You know, America, people, countries that have the resources,
right.
and then sometimes where we're supposed to put emphasis is not there. Like for example, we don't have an ambassador to Canada or even a consulate, right? So sometimes it baffles me how these priorities are set. But
Mm,
anyway, let's go to the chief of staff. You know, when the late Minister Grisby passed, a lot of people were talking who's going to replace. I mean, a lot of names were being floated around. And Minister Grisby, who was earlier criticized and blamed for some things that were not going well in the executive mansion, was now being elevated and being praised for doing a good job, and he led a big shoes and needed people to fill it. I thought those things. I don't want to say it was a contradiction, but prior to his death, that was not the narrative. I don't know if you noticed that too.
yeah, initially he received a lot of criticism, but yeah, it's something distinct. He was not one of the bandwagons on the rescue team, but still, His Excellency President Buckeye had the confidence of still making him Chief of Staff, Minister of State. That tells you the resolve of the president, that he looks beyond just people just jumping on the bandwagon, and saying he looks at his personal ties, his personal assessment of you and the various things you've passed through, and he looks at all of that, and before he chooses somebody. So that this new choice was not surprising at all, because again, he's dealt with the new man, Steve, several times. He knows how he works. He's worked with him several times. He has that confidence, so he's going to be very comfortable with him in that position, because he's already familiar with the way he behaves. So I think it
Was
was.
that was that obvious? Was that an obvious choice?
I
So
think it was very obvious. I don't think he. I mean, unless you don't know who was in the office there, but I think selecting somebody who was already in that office was one of the safer things to do. Yeah, it was pretty.
that's the people were throwing all kinds of names around, right? And knowing President Buckeye so far, I didn't think that he was going to do anything dramatic. He was going to play it safe. Why are
Yeah.
we still expecting President Buckeye to do something else? Or is
I
that time
wouldn't.
ever going to
I
come?
mean, there were talks about a whole lot of different people. That even mention of Henry Costa becoming the Minister of State. But as we've seen from this president, he's a very cautious person. He's not going to do something very radical, and I think it was a wise decision. It was a safe decision, and you want somebody who really you can not just depend on, but who knows the functions of that office well enough to be able to lead all those people that are in that office as well. The minister of state is a leader in itself.
Mhm.
You lead the cabinet. You lead the cabinet. You lead all the other different officers within that ministry. So you need a leader, and you need someone who the president can relate to. They have that
And
confidence.
that has been stressed a lot. Someone the president can trust.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, what does Sam Steve Queer bring to this table? Besides being someone who was with the president for 12 years as the chief of staff, this was a time when President Bouakai considered himself as a parked car.
Hmm.
Sam Steve Quayle was there. And when the opportunity came, when he became president, obviously people were expecting him to be the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. He was not selected. I don't want to say passed over. I want to choose my words carefully here. And the late Grisby was selected. So does this look like, okay, it's your time now? Because they say in Labrador, deal with time. Oh, this is not your time. This is your time now. Or is it like, okay, we're sorry, we pass over you now, you can have it?
Yeah,
Or was this a really well thought out choice to say,
I
well,
think.
this is what we need. These are the missing pieces. With this person plugged in, we're ready to go.
Well, imagine he was Minister of State without portfolio for special services.
Yeah.
So I would think in the absence of the minister, he was actually heading the board, the office. So it was just a rightful transition from this minister without portfolio for special services to minister. I think it was just a natural transition. He's well educated. Okay, he has a master's in administration from Farmington State College in Massachusetts. He has a BSc in political, a BA in political science from the United Methodist University, graduating with highest honors. So it's not.
He was at African Bible College before the war when he was broadcasting African Bible College by radio. So he didn't finish. He finished at the new university, UMU.
Yeah, that's where he got his Bachelor of Political Science.
Which year? That's kind of
which year?
Education time can pass, but someone who was
true.
already in college when I was probably in fifth grade or sixth grade.
My man, but the war disrupted a lot of things. Okay. If you didn't finish before 1990, you probably didn't go back to school until maybe 1993 or 4, because LU was closed.
No, what I mean is when he was at African Bible College, that was way in the early 80s.
Yep.
But both time can pass. So let's look at this job, because now the emphasis is on who the president can trust. We reminded of Dr. Elwood Dunn, who was deputy, not even the proper. He was deputy minister of state for presidential affairs. 1971 to 1980 under President Turbot. In fact, people are saying at that time, there was a country he went to because Labrador, they needed to train diplomats, and Labrador being so that's why he was not there for the coup.
Yeah.
Okay, he was out. He's still alive. These people were trained. Can we say the same about Sam Steve Quay? I'm not saying he should be like Dr. Dunn, but can they do those things these days, or is it about someone the president trusts, someone who the president who keep a secret? The kind of there's kind of diplomatic missions that the former people were running, and I give the example of Dr. Dunn, who was in an African country because people wanted to learn how you do it. So he went there to train them. Can we say the same today?
We're in a new era. Okay, this to me, I call this the Second Republic. Up until 1980, that's the First Republic. This is a new republic, and so things are going to be a bit different. There's a learning curve, and people are going to slowly adjust to the expectations of the job. So even though this new administration may not be as versatile, they might not have that same exposure, and Liberia itself may not be in that same position. But as we climb back to recognition, as we have now part of the Security Council, we will the personnel that will be involved are surely getting enlightened on how to be, how the diplomatic process works and how we as a country fit in and how we can lead our brothers to the next level. I think this is a curve, a learning curve, and the people will be slightly molded to get to that level. I think that's what we're going through now. We've seen a new Liberia, and what does the new Liberia look like? We still got yet to determine that.
And because President Bwaka is being heralded as this experienced person, right? But it looks like everyone around him is focused, kind of, nationally. We don't see that diplomatic, like I give the example of Dr. Dunn, who was going outside the country, talk about CMC Queer, Mamaka Ability, Anthony Kesselly, and all these people. Who is that person who is kind of focused also diplomatically or internationally? Do we have that?
I think a lot of those people they have aged, because remember, a 15-year war, that's a good length of time. You were just a boy, and look at today, you're a man with a family. So that span of time, there many people have gone on, and some they've taken other jobs. They're in the foreign area, and those who remained in Liberia kind of grew accustomed to one another, and they supported each other. They went through the trenches together, and now this opportunity has come up for them to participate. And even though they don't have the experience, but they have that camaraderie that is required.
Right. But looking at President Bwaka, he will be someone who knows this kind of people, especially after being vice president for 12 years, after being agriculture minister, after being LPRC director, after being there, done that, right? How come his focus is like he's bringing up new people, and then some old people that really only those he can trust? Because the gap you're talking about is true, but it doesn't mean we don't have those people around. Except that President Walker either doesn't trust them or doesn't want them around.
Well, look what the former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did. In her first term, she brought back a whole lot of those old people with the kind of experience you're talking about.
Exactly. But with experience.
Yeah, she brought all of them back. But then in her second, she started bringing up new guys like Gafwan, like Amara.
This was in her first. So Gafwan was budget director. Amara was planning minister.
Yeah,
they were all there. They were kind of learning, maybe.
There was a guy before them. Anyway, there were some changes made, because you remember Saye was there, who had all that international experience and all of that.
So it's possible that Gafwan learned under Saye. Amara gonna learn. People were learning.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. She brought these people, the new breed, in to train them, because there was some disconnect. Apparently, there was some disconnect with the old group.
Yeah.
That she said, okay, I think I best bring in some new breed and train them so they will take over. I think that's the route that President Bwaka is taking now. He's bringing in new people to get them trained so that they can carry the baton.
I hope you're not talking about Sam Queer has new people, though.
Well, he's not new. But again, instead of going and bringing some old person from his administration, from his from Talbot days and something. He's giving this young man a chance to prove himself. That is a big position, as you and I know.
Yeah.
It's a huge position, and that's why he wanted Minister Grisby to be there. But now he's giving this young man a chance, and I think.
Do we expect any shift, any change in the way business is done?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think he would carry out the president's wishes as desired. They've been working together. There's not going to be very much changes. I don't see.
And that's the thing, right? Because when the president met his cabinet, he praised them and said, like, there's no need for anything, no need for a change. You're doing well, right? And so, even with the issues that we are seeing, he's not in a hurry to kind of make any change. And so if with the problem we saw with Yellow Machine, the bosses, and even starting with the cars and everything else that's going on, even long before during the transition, and he kind of staying the course. It's not like, okay, is he either stonewalling what people are saying, or is it people or is he just think that he's doing okay?
No, but let's look at it this way. He has to pull personnel from a resource pool. Now you have the resource pool in Liberia, those who stayed, and you have the resource pool in the diaspora. So unless you're expecting that he goes to the diaspora and pull from there, which may not settle very well with a lot of people. There's been accusations that they stay there the whole time, and then people come from abroad and can't take their positions. That's been said a lot before. So maybe he doesn't want to go to that pool, because he doesn't want that dissent, So he's going to the local pool, what he has available, and pulling from there instead of going to that diaspora and pull.
And that little resentment is there. I saw some posts after they made some appointment. The guys then were congratulating each other. Hey, we are here. And I tell you, that's one of the reasons why the 1992 octopus caught me, right? Because when we came back, well, first we ran, and they would call it, oh, you guys ran away. We've been here. So when the octopus was coming, I was determined to stay because I didn't want that label anymore. That you ran away, and that's how that war was so devastating. But so overall, what kind of government going forward do we expect to see? Is it people that stay the course? I would think President Boaga is not in any hurry to make radical changes. But what is it the escalation of commitment, because you started something, you just want to continue it. You don't want to be seen as weak or that you failed. So he's staying the course. Is that how you read it?
Well, the way I read it,
or he's just oblivious to what's going on.
No, the way I read it, he's comfortable with the way things were done in the past. And he's not trying to stray too much from that. But he will dismiss anybody who falls out of line.
What does that line mean?
If you're caught up in some scandal or some misdemeanor, or misfeasance or malfeasance, and you find that he finds that you have not been totally transparent and dishonest, he will get rid of you. So he's very measured, and he only wants people who are going to be. If you hear some of his statements, I think that's what he would tell you the kind of people he's looking for. He's looking for people who will be trained. He's looking for people who will be honest and transparent. you know, and he's looking for people he can relate to, who they've passed through other things before, and anything beside that he will not waver. A lot of people he's brought back from Ellen administration, right? So again,
There's this comment from Evans. He said he has no new ideas or vision for the country. He's an old leper. He will never change his spot. There was this Chinese man, it was in Rwanda, right? And it looks like Africa as a whole, we're not really thinking. We are still caught up into, okay, do we accept deportees from America or not? What is it? America like us, or do we go with China? And he was saying, hey, look, go with yourself. If America is not doing the right thing, don't go with America. If China is not doing the right thing, don't go with China. Besides that, how do this innovation? Look at the power of AI. Jimmy, you can do anything now with AI. I was just playing with AI and I was studying for some certification, and I wanted AI to even do a manual for that, and AI did it. I'm like, whoa. So the next thing I said, well, since I'm going to Liberia, I want to teach Sino High, let me do a math book, and it will just do the topics. Are we thinking that area? Is it, I watched Leo Johnson, he was saying yesterday, and I was kind of proud of the kid, man. He said, every day you were talking about normal day. We want to go back to normal day. Remember President Bouakai wanted the way things were done in the 1970s when they had these yellow machines paving roads. You want to go back to the 1970 cooperatives. And this is 2025. So Leo was saying, I don't want normal day. I want my cell phone, because there was no cell phone normal day. I want my laptop. I want internet. I want solar panel, right? As a country, are we thinking in that direction? Are we thinking about building a smart city? Are we thinking about leveraging the power of AI? Or we are still stuck up in, sweeping and cleaning the dirt, firing this minister? So when Evan said he has no new ideas, that may seem harsh, but I don't think President Bouakai is that forward looking. He's still looking at, okay, people are good, I need nice people around. Don't steal, don't kill, don't lie. But now you have tools that can stop people from lying. Is he thinking that way, or is he still looking at things from that village perspective where, we're looking for a time when we used to leave our rice kitchen open and then we meet it there, nobody steal. You don't have that time, will never come. What are you going to do?
It is a new era. I think before he will allow a whole lot of new perspective, new technology to be introduced, he has to first feel comfortable with that new technology.
Because he should know about it, not just comfortable. What if he doesn't know?
Yeah, he may not even know about it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going taking it to the next level, just not knowing, but feel technical. I'm sure he has heard of AI by now. But what does it entail, and how can he use that how can he incorporate that in his governance? So there's and then well, let's be honest, there's so many little fundamental things that we have to take care of first. We have to, for instance, the legal issues, the court issues, we have to get Liberia to where the courts are regulate justice in the country. Business people, investors will have confidence to come there. So he has to fix that. So bringing in new technology and you haven't fixed the foundational things yet, it's not going to be the way to go.
Technology can fix it. Yeah. Let's take internet, for instance. If we have internet from Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, people in my village in Dodoka could be watching us now and learning, right?
Yeah.
In my hometown, the school I went to, probably the best school in the country at that time. Now they said they have a lab, they have a computer lab, they have all these things, but nobody's there. They're in the forest. People trying to earn a living. If you have TV in these areas, informing the people, right? When I enter Africa, I mean, you can even see the tax roof. You will see your TV booster there. So there are a lot of things you can do instead of us going back to be innovative. But instead of going back to say, okay, let's see how things were done. We used to have this town crier when the town crier is talking at night. If you drop a pin, you hear it. No, the town crier is not there anymore. The young generation, they don't know about these stories anymore. But there's something else that you can use. That's internet. We need electricity, right? Ethiopia just built the biggest dam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using little money, I think 4 billion. That's small money.
That's more money.
It's supposed to supply like 70 million out of the 105.
Yeah, it's a huge dam.
Right. Can we think about that instead of wasting time with how things used to be in the 1940s? Oh, we used to pay 10 cents to buy this. Oh, the bus that we used to get on the bus and pay 5 cents from Town all the way, and we use 2 cents to rent that cinema. I don't want to hear that. We're never going to get back that time, Jimmy. President Bouaka is still in that era, but I don't. Do we blame him or we blame ourselves for?
Well,
someone who is.
He is from a different, from a different era. Okay, but whoever it is, they still have to start with the pain points: the power, reliability, healthcare, education, agriculture, communications. No matter who it is, they have to.
But take healthcare, for instance. You need an electronic medical record. I proposed that a couple of years ago. My company wanted to work with, so I called my friend who was at the finance ministry. Let's do this. My company wants to give this to Labrador free. The only thing we should use it. I would train people to provide level 1 and level 2 support. When it comes to level 3, we can go back to the company because EMR, electronic medical record, can solve a whole lot of problems. But you are still busy talking about, the malaria medicine and all these things and all. Yes, you may think that's not basic, but those are basic stuff that can solve problems. We can, leapfrogging.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing. He still has to delegate that responsibility to one of his ministers, to one of his chief lieutenants to do that. Okay? And that's where it starts. He can have a vision. I think Elvis is talking about having a vision. These things can be explained. He needs somebody who will explain what they want to do to him for the country, and then he can embrace it. But it starts with him, and he wants to make sure the country is stable and run honestly. But all these great ideas, he needs the lieutenants to do that. They're the one who has to bring the vision to him, and then he will embrace it. It's a catch-22. Either you bring new people who you don't know, or you bring old people who you do know, and rely on them to bring the system up to date.
And it's not that the old people can't even do it. There's the old people that can do it, right?
That I think that's where the push it. That's where the problem is. Can they do it?
Yeah, I just believe that if you set the tune, if you set the right tune, whether the people or not, they will do it, right? Because if you feel insecure, if you want people, somebody was telling you, he said, "Oh, I watched the foreign minister, Madame Sarah Beslo-Yanti, asking for applause. Whatever she does, she wants people to clap for her. So it looks like Karishma too is someone who likes to show herself. So she wants to be clapped for too. So it looks like those two things collided. So if you are in a position where you are comfortable in your own skin, And I mean, I exhibit, even though FOL, you may say we're not getting money, but I have people that can be my professors, working with me. I don't feel intimidated. I give them the space to work. Some of them never met in my life, right? So if you're not comfortable and it's always about, oh, I don't trust the person, I don't know the person, let the law protect you. If somebody is caught stealing or engaging in espionage, there are laws for that. You don't have to be my friend. You don't have to watch my back. You don't have to keep my secret, because if I'm president, I don't want to keep. I don't want to have secrets that you need to keep, so that I won't be, exposed. But if I'm stealing, then of course I need people to keep that secret. If I'm incompetent and trying to be and I have some square pegs in round holes, I need people to keep that secret. If I'm living another life, if I'm involved in something else, if I'm the one who selling drugs at night and then prosecuting drugs during the day, then I need people to keep my secrets. But Jimmy, conclude on that so that we can move on to our next issue.
I think he's trying to get the country to a place where he can hand it off to some new people with all these new ideas, the young people with these new ideas. But for him, his goal is to keep the country stable and to make it as corruption free as it possibly can be. And that is what he's wrestling with right now.
I hope that's the case. I hope
yeah,
that's
you see,
the case.
there's something we got a few roads going up. We see power. Power is most stable. There's some, like I say, there's some pain points that we have to deal with right away, and I think that's what they're going through at this point. Mm-hmm. Later on, I think we will see more innovations, but first we gotta address those pain points and make sure that we do the foundational. Mm. If we don't have a proper foundation, it's hard to proceed.
Bible says without faith it is impossible to please God. So as you have faith in what you're saying, it's only by faith, because I don't see it. We heard that story before with President Salif and Vice President Bouakai. They said we want to give this to the new generation. When that time came, President Bouakai stepped forward. After the first year, he said, well, I just want to stabilize it and give it to the new generation. When he was interviewed by Front Page Africa, he said, well, if you are faithful, they asked him about a possible run 2029. He said, well, if the Bible says if you are faithful in little things, then you get bigger things. So if he's faithful with 6 years, he will get 12 years. That's how I understood it. But let's move on. The president is coming back to the United States. He's coming for the diaspora conference. This was and we are waiting. I hope I'll be there, but this was a rush conference, I believe, in my view. It's like out of the blue, boom, we just have this. He's coming. And then in the following month, October, he's coming for the UNGA. The president is traveling. Is it a sign of strength? That you said elephant can dance. Why is the elephant dancing? You guys said the president couldn't do it. Like when we lowered the bar a lot for the former president George Weah. So when George Weah delivered a speech, because we lowered the bar so much that this man couldn't even read. So when the man delivered a speech, he accomplished a lot. Everybody started clapping for him. He said, "Feel very good." So now President Bouakai, even to travel, is that the standard we've set? That, oh, you see the president walking, you say you have battery, you say you have this, but look at him now. Is that what the president is actually doing?
Well, I mean, it depends where you want to lift. I think he has a little more. He does have more strut in his step nowadays, which is good. He looks like he's up and around. And when he mentioned this conference that is supposed, I think this is being very innovative. We've been talking about this some time. Why doesn't Liberia make use of its diaspora population that has millions of dollars of resources, that has tons and tons of expertise, that still have love for the country? Why are we not taking advantage? Other countries take advantage of this, and the diaspora is doing huge things in those countries. So here it is now. The president is introducing this. He's trying to get the diaspora to make a greater contribution to Liberia before the diaspora was, looked as if they were coming to take their jobs, but he's taking a different approach. So I think that is a step in the right direction. This is, if you talk about anything positive, anything modern, anything visionary, I think this is one thing we can commend him for doing, because I'm telling, we have so many people in the diaspora here. I don't know if they want jobs, but they definitely want to make a contribution to Liberia. And I think that's a step in the right direction. As for these conferences, GA conferences, I'm not sure what is accomplished at these the GA, unless you have a point that you want to communicate to the world, like you may want to make a statement. It's a great platform, like for a new rebel leader or a new president. He comes there and make a big impression because he has that world audience. So
before you get to that UNGA, the diaspora conference, right? Because sometimes we want to have conferences or we want to appoint committees just to show people that we're doing something. Because there are many things you can do without a conference, right? To show that you're interested. A new group has an idea of, supporting development, and they were talking to me so that it will come on. And I don't want to discuss too much about it until they come. But what they're saying is, what if every time you send a remittance to Liberia, we take out $1 that goes towards XYZ development project? What if we did something like that? Or there was this how you call it, dual citizenship. There was a lot of fight for dual citizenship. Since dual citizenship was established, what has changed? In fact, the way to go about, because if you just establish a law, that's not enough. How do we really do this? The government has not done anything about it. It's just there. So how do you leverage that? People are going to Liberia and say, well, you can go with your U.S. passport and come back. You can go with your Liberian passport and come back with U.S. passport and all kinds of things. There's nothing done. We'll say, okay, we want to vote, out of country voting. These things are already there. If there are a lot of Liberians, there's a group that in Liberia, most of them from the diaspora, that have these different companies. And they say anytime there is a project, the government goes outside. They don't use Liberian firms. Even to make ID card for driver license, they'll go somewhere else. And we are here. So even prior to a conference, what steps have you taken? I mean, and this is not the first diaspora conference, you know that. Many others that you can just pick up and read. But we want to have conference and committee so it will look like we're doing something. In Congo, because I had a Congolese friend, they were when they got ready, they were calling the Congolese back, down to someone who was making color. He said, this color you're making in the United States and selling, come and make this color in Congo. And this is what we're going to do to help you. We've been proposing these ideas to government. I remember Cesar Goya, FOL education analyst. He was after the government of WIA because he wanted to do something, train teachers and do a whole lot of things. He said, I need you to do pay my way so you can have a stake in the game. They couldn't do it. I have proposed, I've written, about Liberian own Peace Corps volunteers, because those days when Peace Corps they were all white people. We are here now, we are trained. Can we have a program where we can go back? And then when we go back, the government can arrange with the State Department here so that when we go back, there's not a gap in our employment in the States. That can still be considered a continuation. So there are many things we can do right now, today, without a conference. Why aren't we doing that?
Well, you need a plan.
And does the government have a plan?
Well, I think this is what the government is going to convey. You need a plan and a strategy. And just like you said, before you can incorporate these resources, you have to see how will we do it? What is our goal? So before you even come up with a plan, you have to establish the goal. or the vision. Then from the vision, you establish your goals, and from your goals, you come up with a plan and strategy to implement that. And that is, I think that those are the steps. So a lot of stuff we've been doing has been ad hoc. I think we need a national plan, not just one group do this today and another group do something tomorrow. It has to fit in a framework that will be perpetual, that every generation that comes, they will be able to fit into this framework and take it another step each successive generation. But I think that this is part of this diaspora conference. And I think maybe this is where we want to hear these plans, and see where it goes. I think I'm looking at it positively. I think this is a step in the right direction.
I interviewed Dr. Don, who is heading this, and I was asking, others that are these conferences, this is not the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And almost every administration wants to start from scratch. What is it that you are able to get? Do you have, because, we say you sit on the old map to apply the new.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have documents from the previous ones that we can use instead of us reinventing the wheel every time? President Walker may 6 years may be gone. The next president will have his or her own diaspora conference.
Yeah, we need
Ethiopian down. We're talking about. Say how many years has it been? The plan was made for what, 10 years or 14? That was not true. And they work at it. Abuja, many years they work on the same plan. But poverty reduction strategy, PAPD, arrest, everybody going their own way.
That's why we need unity, so that and we need to agree what we want to do, and that is why you have to have that national awareness of where the country is going, so that no matter who is coming to head the government, you will still have those same goals in mind. But failure to do that, failure to establish a national goal for the country that all of us can aspire to, is you're going to continue having this. All the countries that are where they are today, they saw the vision of where they wanted to take their country, and they embraced it. So we need to do. That's where we need to go. Now, some of these plans, like you said, PAPD and whatnot, how well were they communicated? How well did we put this infrastructure in place so that it can be realized? So maybe it was introduced, but not, it didn't grow roots so that it could spread. And I think that's where we're not digging deeper, so that our plans would take root first, and then take fruit and bear what we want. I think we're switching from this administration to that. It shows that we're not grounded, and
what is the major problem people are having with these trips? I've heard a lot, right? Some say, what are you bringing back? You were in China, Japan with 40 men. You had that big dance on stage, and I really like it. The foreign minister can really get down with our culture. I like, and they will say, what are you bringing back? Is it more of that, or just the lack of transparency, or a little bit of both? Because if we knew what this trip cost, but by the way, I watched the president when he went to inspect the motorbike. I mean, our country has come to the point that you buy a new bicycle, you call the president, you can't see it. But anyway, that's another issue. But the lack of transparency, I think, is even more than about what the president is bringing back. Because if citizens are not told what you are doing, and you are not reporting, maybe somebody gave it, like President Buck, or we are said one time, somebody gave it to me to bring morale. transparency, cost benefit analysis, and waste when it comes to this trip. Which one you think is the problem here?
Cost benefit analysis trips. Well, tell you the truth. We need to measure. You see, it's one thing to come up with a plan, but how do you measure your success, your gains? Are you if they say you cannot win if it can't be measured, or I forgot the old saying that if it can't be measured, then it can't be won. So we need to establish, just for the PAPD or the rescue plan, where are the goals, where are the milestones, so that if we get there, we'll know that we got there. It's not enough to just come up with a plan, but how to measure your gain, how to measure your accomplishments. That is where we have failed to do. So there's nothing wrong with failure, because failure is just a lesson. Okay, we're not there yet, but we need to do this and do that before we get there. But to hide it or to dismiss the fact that we have not achieved what we wanted to achieve within a certain time is not the way to go. You and I never, and I'm sure there's some tests you have failed while going to school.
Yeah. And I will tell you one of it before you even. So I was in third grade. This whole concept of adding numbers, and this leave over all subtraction, I never understood it. I don't know who. I was not in school. There was second grade when teacher Slaw taught it. And I went back. Every time we took that test, let's say 25 plus maybe 98. So I'll put, when I say 2 plus 8, I put the entire 10 down. Every time I took the test, I would get 20%. This was second, 20. But the way he wrote the 2, it looked like 9 to me. And he never called me one day to say, okay, this is what you're getting wrong. So yes, I failed math in second grade a lot. Before, I was hiding my paper. I couldn't show it to my dad because 20, what will he tell me?
So how you managed to get to the next class?
Because somebody saw it and they were laughing at me. And I went to fight because they were laughing at me. And that's how the news got to our dad.
Okay.
Before somebody explained to me. So, hey, you don't put the entire 10 down, put down 0, you carry 1.
Very good. You see, you just illustrated what I'm saying. You have to show where you are falling short. Then you know what to do to improve it. But what I'm looking at, they're not examining the plan. You come up with a plan. You set your goals, if they do set a goal, and then you examine, have you gotten there? And there's nothing wrong with failing to get there, because then you know what you need to do to get to the next level. But we're not being honest with ourselves. So we hide the failure, we hide we don't acknowledge the shortcoming, and as a result, we don't gain. We have to understand that things, sometimes you have to keep on trying before you get it right. But trying to hide it, trying to dodge and not admit where you are, that's not the way to go. If you didn't get in that fight, you'll still be in second grade feeling that test.
I'll still be in second grade.
You see, you have to recognize what you're doing wrong and change. And I passed through some similar thing like that. It was with algebra. Some algebra, you can just look at the answer and get an answer. But there's certain ones, if you don't know how to follow the steps, you can't get the answer. It's not evident. So you had to learn the steps. And every time I didn't want to learn those steps until I failed enough, until I realized if I don't learn these steps, I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I started learning the steps you take to solve any problem. Not just the one you can see right off the bat, but the one that you can't even see the answer, you can do it. So we have to measure our plans, our goals. We need to measure it, and we need to take account, say we didn't reach that far, and we need to do something better. Then we go back and do it better. And by keep sweeping it under the rug, by not recognizing that we are not making it, is not the way to progress. We'll stay in the second grade.
and somebody put numbers law. Today is the birthday of our fallen comrade, Mr. JNB. So I wrote a post, I remember him and say, happy heavenly birthday, JNB.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's conclude with the last. And before we come, we want to talk about CMC. And before we get there, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
My name is Abena Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it!
From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Ogomi Hills to Country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
Welcome back. This focus on Liberia, from Cape Palmer to Cape Mount, from Mount Nimba to the Atlantic Ocean. We are focusing on Liberia. Jimmy, I want us to discuss the Citizen Movement for Change, CMC. Our colleagues, J. Victor Nambwe and Jerome Gaiman, they are strong members. But, we have to discuss it. Number one, they were in the news lately. 2, 3, or 4 things happened. First, I read this story where one of them was saying, hey, what you heard on the radio, the way we recruit is not true. Because there was something about, Marvin Cole, the labor, he was in the media, he was saying, recruitment, that which appeared to many people that they were paying people to recruit. Like, you come to Jimmy, you want to be a member of CMC, we give you money. Or the people that are going to recruit, we give them money so that they can use the money as an incentive for people to come. And because Musa, the political leader of this party, is a businessman, people thought that using the commission strategy to recruit members, pay to play. Let's listen to Marvin Cole. Whether is that what you hear?
Okay.
And it's just snippet.
So it's read by. CMC doesn't promise. What we believe in is to do it, and then we ask you. Now they're all about, you got to clap for me. If I just stand up, all of you stand up. Some of you here, you stand up. Everybody stand up. Stand up. Y'all stand. Manda. Man. I will be responsible. The party also providing some resources to support that. So each team that will be in the field want to be responsible for your feeding. We'll provide you scratch car. We'll make sure we'll provide you transportation. There will be 5 members in a team. The only responsibility you got is to recruit 36 person every day for CMC for 6 days. Once you finish with it, then you pause. That all we will pay you before you go in the field. We'll pay 50% of your money. By the time you finish getting your 36 person times 6 days, that number, by the time that 5 persons get it, you'll come back to the home.
What pay do you think he's talking about? The way it was explained to me by CMC members, hey, we're digital now, so people go in the field, they need food, they need scratch card, they need all kinds of things. So that's the money he was talking about. He was not saying we're going to pay people to recruit. What did you hear?
Well, I'm aware of some of this thing that's going on. You know, it is widely accepted now that Liberians vote for in the hope of being able to get something from the candidate. It could be directly, or it could be through maybe a job or something like that. Whereas in other countries, like, you expect the candidate to make improvements to the system that will benefit and indirectly benefit the voters. But that's not how it goes in Liberia. Voters want to benefit right away in some form or fashion. So to appeal to that nature, they're trying to provide some incentive, for those who will, start the recruiting and spread it. Now, does this work? I think other people have tried this and they end up spending a lot of money and still don't gain the momentum they should have gained. I think the better issue is to champion the things that people really take to heart, that's really affected them. And you can beat on those issues until people believe that you're going to change those conditions. That is when I think you'll get much better participation than simply trying to, satisfy individuals' issues that doesn't last very long. When our money finished, they're looking for more. So I don't think it's a sustainable method of going about it. I mean, you can start something like that, but in the end, you're going to have to know how to champion the issues that make people.
But they are saying the money he's talking about, even though it's just for the upkeep.
Well, that's for those who are going out, right? And even that is going to be expensive. Believe me, because you're talking about thousands of people. We're talking about going all around to the counties and the different villages.
So when you, after the first 5 days or 6 days, you pause. So 6% each day time that. So, I say, I hope people don't think it's a Ponzi scheme. Let me welcome the host of the Hour of Politics, the acclaimed political bulldog, Mr. Anthony C. Welcome, Mr. C.
Dennis, thank you. It's good to be here. How you doing? Jimmy, how are you?
Welcome.
All right, thanks.
Mr. C, we are talking about the CMC, what people look at as their recruitment strategy, which is like some may describe as pay to play. CMC is saying, no, this is not true. You're getting it wrong. The money we're talking about here, or that Marvin Cole was talking about, is only to sustain people that are in the field working. Because even the Bible said the laborer deserves his wages.
Dennis, I watched a little clip there twice, and a lot of things, kept coming to my mind. Well, that is a strategy that they are already implementing. It's a recruitment strategy. They are in Liberia. They are there. They know how the electors and the citizens respond to these kind of things. In as much as they get a little benefit, financial reward instantly after performing a specific task, they will comply. because they need to survive. Uh, Employment in Liberia is a challenge, more so because people see employment like, okay, you're aware with fire or aware with government or aware with NGO, then that employment. But when you self-create or self-employed, you know, do a little business, you know, I don't know how many Liberians see that as, you know, another great, even better way of employment. And so the way I think most of us minds are wired is that, well, when you're not working with the government, you're not working with NGO, you're not working with Firestone, any other business, another thing that from hand to mouth, you know, well, then it said that hand to mouth. And so people now feel that, you know, there are other ways they can survive, and so this is one such opportunity now. I think in their thinking that the CMC is providing, carry on a piece of tax, recruit in about 36 persons, and you get the amount. They're gonna do it. Now the question is that how long will the CMC continue with this? Is this an effective tool for recruitment? I say, yeah, it will be effective to some level. Some people will be recruited and they will stay. Some people will do it because of the reward it gives them and they will walk away. How they sustain this is the question they need to answer. But definitely it will bring some people in their corner. Some will stay, some will not stay. Whether these people that they will recruit will stay with them up to election, and when election comes, whether or not they will be able to translate that membership that they will recruit into vote is another question that they have to answer. But if you look at it, this is retail politics. This is dollar politics taking. You know, it gives you the momentum. It brings you the crowd. It puts you in the national conversation, and it intimidates your opponent. And there are some people who want to do it. And a good thing, the last thing I want to mention then is Musa Berete, who is the head of CMC. He himself boasted, maybe not the word boast is the right word, but he professed that he's one of the few Liberian millionaires, somehow with traceable, you know, income or wealth in Liberia. And it's obvious that he's prepared to spend it to gain political capital because he have interest in the presidency. But yes, the fact then is, we saw that with Vanish Sherman. You know, well, Vanish Sherman, I don't know if anybody have come close to Vanish Sherman. I heard about another guy who I can't remember now, who spent money on that. My friend Vandera Patrick was Secretary General of his party. The guy was spending money at will, and he got nowhere. So we wait to see whether days would take the CMC somewhere. But if you look at it, they are doing something. And I think others who are sitting by, you know, I don't think sitting by is helping, but they are doing something.
And we continue to talk about political ideology, right? Which is not there, or that's not the thing people vote on in Liberia of late. So people, you know, capitalize on this whole idea of money, you know, because money talks.
Yeah.
So now, even though there's a danger to it, as we can see, but this is further perpetuating that idea that you know, you don't have to do anything, just pay them. I was talking to a friend who won election 2017, was no 2011. So I was talking to him. I said, hey, since you become a representative, this is time to engage the kids from 6th grade, because let's say 6th graders are 12 years old. So in 6 years, they will be 18 and ready to vote. Maybe it's time now that we can engage them. Let's have just little programs in those different schools. It could be a journalist club. It could be a football team, anything. He said, well, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to wait. When election time, I just pay them and they vote for me. And that still continues. One thing, the pitfall of if even you are giving people money to go on the field, if I know I have enough money, I can use that to even entice the people that I'm going to. I can share my profit with them so that they can be registered. And in Liberia, where we don't have Social Security and all that, I can register as Dennis John today, and I got maybe that $10, I get it. 1 week later, I register as Tani Chule, and I get another $10. So this scheme is prone to all kinds of things. But Jimmy, is there any law that we know of? Here they have campaign finance, different things. No law against those things in Liberia? Even if it were the case that we are taking it to be that they were paying people to join the party, would they be breaking any law?
No, I don't. I don't remember there's anything wrong with providing
Cash
monetary
incentive.
incentive. However, there is a clause about paying people to vote. Buying votes. That's not allowed. But to bring people in your party, if you're providing them financial incentive, I don't think there's a law against that. I think you can, but it's not sustainable. Just like Anthony was talking about, how much you got 5 million people in the country. If you even just do 1 out of 5, you know how much money you're going to be spending, right? So it's not something that is sustainable. But
Sure.
you can start there and see. Again, it's going to boil down to your appeal, and if you represent some things that people believe in, that's how they will gravitate to you.
Thank you. Still on the CMC, another thing that's come up with the CMC, where EULA, if you go on the EULA website, EULA is inviting the head of the CMC, the political leader, Musa Hassan Bilete, has the special, it's a guest. Let me see what's the title they give. If it's on the EULA website, if you are not already there, yeah. The special guest and chief launcher is Honorable Musa Hassan Bilete. Remember 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, the same case with EULA, when they invited then Presidential Affairs Minister Nathaniel Fallow Mangill as the special guest and chief launcher. I was at that program, and Nathaniel Barnes stood up right there and rebuked them. It became a big issue. At the end, the president then, Shehu Kamara, was voted out, and those were one of the issues. The current vice president of EULA was with Shehu Kamara at that time, and she differed with Shehu on that. Said she was not actually aware on why McGill was invited. We could all say Musa Bilete is not in the executive branch, but he's still in the government. He's a political leader. He's spending a lot of money on his party, and at the same time, he's being invited. Is it coincidence or what's going on here? Also, the vice president of EULA, who also happens to be the wife of one of the CMC executive, has been appointed as, I think, the head of the women wing of CMC. So she's the vice president. She's head of the party, head of and she's part of the executive of the party. And that same vice president, they are inviting Musa Bilete. Is there coincidence? How will this all play out? Already there are people who are saying, no, this can happen. EULA, even though it's not written anywhere that you can be part of a party, but EULA is a political watchdog. These are the people you're supposed to check on. So if you are already executive of a political party, your independence will be questioned. Mr. C, I want you to take your first jab at these things. With the whole Musa Bilete being the chief launcher guest speaker, being invited by EULA, and the vice president is part of the top in the membership of CMC. The conflict of interest, and also can someone in EULA, which is a 5013C or 4, maybe 3 organization, can they be active in politics like that? You are muted. Is this just a political quagmire? Is it ethical issue, or is it conflict of interest, or is it nothing to even talk about?
No, Dennis, we we are a nation and we are involving like any other nation, and there has to be national dialogue around these issues. EULA is a big organization. It represents diaspora Liberians. It's like the government, for lack of a better way to put it, in the diaspora, So this must be an example. And for me, at the time, EULA invited Nathaniel McGill during the Weah presidency. My quant then was he was invited as a chief launcher, and that EULA was raising funds. EULA and us who believe to be advocates were holding the Weah government accountable for wasteful spending. All right. And so EULA invitation to Nathaniel Magay was for him to come and be the chief launcher because EULA was raising funds. And the sole purpose, as I believe strongly then, was because the new Nathaniel Magay will contribute significantly in terms of money. Now, and way before that, I did a show on an hour of politics where I catalog the contributions and donations Nathaniel Magay had made in Liberia. Nathaniel Magay was going from county to county, offering scholarship programs in millions. And in my research that time, it was about 73 million Liberian dollars Nathaniel Magay claimed he has spent on scholarship. That Grand Bassa County, that Nimba County, that Bon County, I think Mangibi County, and he targeted the populated counties. And he spent this money. There are articles today, in fact, I did the research. And so EULA was aware and also was alarmed that this man who was living in a swamp just the other day had just come to government and is now dishing out millions in the name of scholarship. So we knew that it was not government of Liberia offering this scholarship. It was McGill, the Minister of Presidential Affairs. So there were so many ethical questions, Jimmy, if you're following here, or concerning this brother. And so how could EULA be advocating against wasteful spending, corruption, and then intentionally and willfully invite Nathaniel Magay with their knowledge that this was a guy who had the money to waste around? And so it was a contradiction. So I opposed it, and I criticized EULA, very strongly against that. The fact is, it was not that Nathaniel Magay, as a Liberian, inviting him was wrong. It was the dealings, the political dealings that were questionable. And EULA wanted to get some of this money. And, so fast forward, this is Musa Berete. You lay the premise. Musa Berete is in government just as Magay was, even though he still is. But now the CMC people said, wait, hold on a minute. Musa has been in the private sector. He's gotten his money way before coming to government, so they can make the argument that this is different. He's a Liberian citizen, and so we are inviting him. The fact that he's a politician, he's a political leader now, there's no question about, maybe he using government funds, that government funds being used to donate money around. They might be thinking that is not the case. Now, the issue of conflict of interest you mentioned, Mr. Victor Namo's wife, who is a member, you are muted, and help me here.
Emmanuel, all right, Nangbe, who is an executive of EULA and now also being appointed. There are others who are saying she should do the most honorable thing and resign because they see conflict of interest. You can't be an executive of EULA and you're also an executive of CMC, and at the same time, your political leader is being invited. I have not actually formed my opinion around that yet, but I see logic in what people are saying. But then I ask the question, what is the conflict? What is the conflict? Because EULA, as we know it, is not, I really want to see the conflict. I'm yet to really grab it. And so until I can grab it, I can't form an opinion on it. But I think on the Magay thing, I think EULA knew what it was doing. It wanted to get money from a questionable source.
And some people might think that Musa Bedete money might also be questionable. Maybe that's why some people are raising concern. And the issue of she being on she had one fold in Eula and then CMC and now this. I don't know.
Yeah, it's EULA is the umbrella group of Liberians and their various organizations in the Americas. EULA is a voluntary nonprofit and non-governmental organization formed on July 4th, 1974.
Mm-hmm.
The mission of EULA is to advance the just cause of Liberians and Liberia at home and abroad.
Mm-hmm.
So people are looking at EULA has a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
So if the vice president is actively engaged in party politics,
Mm-hmm.
and now if EULA is inviting people, you invite your boss as the, or did you recuse yourself from that selection of your political leader? And all those things, that's what people are saying, well, this could be a conflict. But Jimmy, let me hear your thoughts.
Okay, if you look at the history of EULA, EULA has been the springboard that launched the opposition to the Torbert government. If you listen to the testimony of Charles Taylor, he would tell you that as president of EULA at the time, he came to Liberia just before the coup and stayed and was helping General Kouampa. Once the coup took place, he was in the upper ranks of those who were in charge. So EULA has always been, they claim to be non-political, but at the same time, they were very involved with the political affairs of Liberia. Whether it was fair, how it was going, there was a lot of dissent. I remember one time, Toba Keem, I think it was one of these UN conferences, and there was a lot of opposition to it. So EULA has always been in the political affairs of Liberia, though they may not be a political organization. But at that time, there was no other political parties, and it kind of remained neutral until even Barker's Matthew, who started PPP and the PAL, all these people were part of EULA.
Mm-hmm.
They Tom, where were you? I could go on with all these people. And so EULA has been the breeding ground for political opposition in Liberia. So today, as we see it, now it's inviting political opposition leaders to speak. We're seeing a new EULA because the CMC was not born in the diaspora; it was born in Liberia, and now they've come to the diaspora to seek support. That's principally why they're coming. So I see EULA is changing, vastly changing its personality to that of a chief.
Is it changing to align with a certain political ideology or party? I mean, is it by inviting the political leader of a political party? Are you saying EULA is taking side in the political landscape? I remember when Wilmot Weti Kuni was president, and he invited the ANC political leader Ellis Cummings, and the same noise happened. Say, hey, what are you doing? Because EULA also have government people. So if you invite opposition, the government people will look at you and say, oh, EULA is opposition to us. Is that what EULA is trying to do here?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It appears that now they are allowing opposition people to use their platform to deliver their message, and I believe we may see EULA going in a different direction. But this is just like you said. This is not the first time This is something they are doing consistently now. But how much effect it will have is questionable, because EULA, unless they have the funding, they're not in Liberia. They're not sending people around. Like they used to. EULA used to fund the travel of their officers, so that so a lot of their agenda, they can push their agenda. So I'm thinking, I think it's a smart move on Musa's behalf to get EULA to host him. But I think we're seeing EULA change it's slowly changing in our very eyes. They are still supporting the opposition like long ago, but now they are allowing their platform to be used by the opposition. So it looks a little bit different.
And then I think Jimmy is making a salient point here. And it's not a new phenomenon. Every institution will involve. And you and I talk to the Yoruba people all the time. And I remember Shehu and I having a conversation. He said, look, Yola has been viewed over the years more like an opposition to government. And that is a reality, because when Yoda, came into existence, it was an advocacy group. It was a critic of the government. It was taking the political fight to every government. The cry against corruption and so on and so on and so forth. So that's Eula's history. And coming to Coning's, administration, fast forward, Shehu, they are like, look, we want to be an institution that work with just about any Liberian government to help solve problems. We don't want to be seen as an institution that is opposing government. Now, that factor into the invitation sent to Nathaniel Mangay during the CDC government. Yola does not, because from day one, all along, every Yola government was taking the fight to the Liberian government. And Shehu Tani said, look, I think we want to be apolitical. We can work with any government to achieve things that are needed in Liberia. So you mentioned the issue of Coning, his administration inviting Cummings, who was opposition then. So the government said, whoa, is Yola opposed to us now? They're inviting opposition. The reality is that Yola as an institution should be able to invite any Liberian. My thing is, who is the Liberian you are inviting? Is it a controversial figure? And if you are raising funds with the case of Mangay, Yola wanted to raise one and invited Mangay because Mangay was dishing money around. And I'm not sure the money Mangay was dishing around, $73 million in less than about 3 years in government. I don't think that was Mangay money. I think Mangay got that money somehow. That was questionable. So I have opposition to that. But for Yola to say we invite any Liberian, irrespective of who they are politically, whatever way, is it their right to do so. They should be able to invite any Liberian to have a discussion.
Right. And Mr. Sia, the same way people view Mangay at that time, there were people who supported Mangay and didn't see him as having questionable money. Mm-hmm. Today, the same scrutiny is on Musa Hassan ability.
That is true.
People still talk about FIFA, people still talk about road fund, people still talk about all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. That, hey, this man, his money, in fact, they are accusing him of all kinds of things. What is the source of his money? Mm-hmm. Who is funding this campaign? So nobody is free from controversy. The same controversy that Mangay was embroiled in, Musa is having his own share. Mm-hmm. You can continue.
Yeah, and then you are right now. So what does Yola do now? Exactly. So anybody who has controversy around him, should Yola stay away from that person? Maybe it can be a strategy that Yola can adapt. Maybe they should invite Dennis Jara. There will be no issue. Now that he's a saint, but there's no national controversy around Dennis Jara.
And that's the problem, right? Before we continue. So Yola is targeting people that have money. So the last time it was Honey, then it was Mangay, then it was Ponati,
Kofa.
just
Yeah,
before his fall,
yeah.
right?
And that is movability.
At
And
that
these are
time,
people. Yeah, go ahead. Go make your
yeah,
point.
at that time, people were accusing Funati of all kinds of things.
Mhm.
And Yula said, "Oh, hey, Funati at that time was invited by I think 4 or 5 different organizations, including your own Grand Crew Association.
Yeah. And
So money talks. Nobody
money,
calls me because they think I don't have
money,
money, right?
money talks. And
I'm not gonna call you,
that is
man.
one criticism for Yuda. There are incredible Liberian citizens here who, not to say they are perfect in any shape and form, but who stand out in terms of their public image. And one would think those individuals should be invited. Now, the reason EULA goes for these names being mentioned is because of the perceived ability they have to dish out money. And EULA as an institution must carry on projects, and EULA needs money. It is EULA inability as a 501c3 institution living in the wealthiest country on earth where there is so much goodwill. EULA inability is failure, is lack of know-how to raise millions, shortcutting it now to go look for questionable individuals who they believe can get. How much money could McGave get at the time? Was 200,000 when EULA could
300.
raise, 300,000, 100,000 for himself, and then another one for somewhere total 300,000 if I'm not mistaken. So EULA could raise $3-4 million a year in America if they plan and execute where they can do so. But because of their failure to be able to raise legitimate funds here, where even the government of Liberia is coming to beg for money, but then EULA now is going to Liberia to beg for money. That is what EULA is doing, and I'll open my wild mouth and say, EULA, this is a failure, and this is a shame on your part. You're begging government officials have controversy around them to come to dish out money. But the very government they work in come to the very America where you are to beg for money. So, I mean, that's the only motivation in my judgment that is leading EULA to inviting these individuals. Because if EULA were raising money here, EULA will invite excellent librarians who are good examples and good representation, good image of our country. And, those are the individuals they will invite. We will make presentation to them. We will challenge them. And, we will push them to be able to think big and take on big projects. All right, EULA will do so, but EULA is like just any other person who want to say, well, the government will get money. They'll call somebody will give us some money, and EULA need to do better. EULA need to do better. You are muted, Dennis.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And we have one caller here. Mr. Cesar Goya.
Yes, sir. Hello, Dennis and Anthony.
And I told Cesar to task recently because of his constant dancing. Maybe he can defend himself.
The man always dancing from the border in fire.
It's a strong weapon. Dance from the imaginable border between Nimba and Lufa County. Look, the conversation I've been following is interesting. I like Anthony's points that he's been making. I think he's been making some salient points. However, I have another bend on it, not from the perspective of who EULA is inviting, because I think Anthony has talked about that, and I think he's exhausted that, and I agree with about almost all of the things you say about why EULA keep going after folks that have questionable on court characters, and why they keep begging at the tables of government and government officials for crumbs. And I am the vice chairman of the board of the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota, which is by far the largest member organization of EULA, and by far its largest funder. And we've talked to EULA before. Look, when we took over the OLM year, our budget used to be around 10,000, 15,000, because we depended on members' dues, right? People pay $10 per month, and that's what we're operating on. We have managed to get out of that taking change stuff to start applying for grants and stuff. And I can tell you right now, our grants, our budgets are in the high six figures. And we've told you that we can show them the way on how to do that. So you don't have to constantly be begging, and you can constantly become to be an advocacy organization. When advocacy becomes a commodity, which is what ULA has been doing, democracy becomes collateral. So my problem I have right now is actually with what seems to be the blurring of the line between the political organization and ULA that is supposed to be an advocacy organization. So the current vice president of ULA, so let me give you some perspective, and I hope I don't take up all your time. When I ran to be Secretary General for ULA during the November era, when we lost on the show team in November 1, Vani Saki at the time was elected national vice president. When Vani chose to take on a leadership role, I think as vice president for mobilization or something for CDC USA, we pushed him to resign. Vani resigned his position as vice president of ULA because we told him you could not be able to advocate for ULA and still be holding a high leadership position in the political campaign, in the political party. That's half a partisanship. Fast forward to today, you have the sitting vice president of ULA that has been appointed by Musa Ability to be the women's wing chairperson for CMC diaspora. And then Mr. Victor Nangwe, who is also one of your panelists and who is the husband of the vice president of ULA, he is in charge of diaspora affairs for ULA, and he is a prominent official of CMC. So when you put those two together, you see Musa Ability being given the grand stage at ULA, it smells of purchase. And for me, the point is that I respect everybody's political view. Everybody has the right to belong to a political party. But we cannot allow you to blur the line between advocacy and political participation. And I've been one person that's been calling for the Honorable Vice President that I respect immensely to either rescind or offer of position within CMC and stay with ULA, or resign from ULA and focus on CMC. But you cannot serve both. And for me, this is an issue that I think most people give up on ULA, and we can't give up on ULA. And we're going to see it to a logical conclusion. As vice chairman of the board of OLM, I've told ULA, I've told my regional vice president that we're going to withdraw all OLM funding from ULA, and we are going to advocate for an active boycott of all ULA activities until and unless they can deal with their blurring of lines between a political party and an advocacy organization.
You don't think that's too harsh? Why don't you try first bringing it to how they call it, not General Assembly, the council, how you call the group of all the presidents in ULA, right?
Eminent Council?
Before the Eminent Council, the different presidents, the different presidents of ULA, they call that the executive office or something they call it.
We as an organization, usually when that happens, it's because we have a leadership crisis in an organization. We don't have a leadership crisis in an organization. Are you hearing me, Dennis?
I mean you bring it up to their attention so they can vote on it and take a position.
Right. The thing here is that we're not begging people to do what is right. So like I said to you, I was on the phone to get with the ULA regional vice president who oversees our region. So he's been forewarned. I have a letter ready to send out to the chairman of the board, the Reverend James Barkley, to let him know. But the OLM as an organization is not going to be passing around begging for people to hold accountable people that have been elected in office. And so we are telling them that you can choose to do what you want to do. But what we are not going to do is to use our resources to acquiesce to the selling or the merger of an advocacy organization with a political party.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll keep following the conversation. But again, thanks for the conversation tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Jimmy, that's Mr. Goya.
Yeah, I think he's spot on, because that is the blurring of the lines. And if ULA wants to be a distinct advocacy group, they have to be non-aligned with any political group. Is allowing another spokesman from a political party to speak to you, to your organization, is that aligning though? That's where the question is. Is that selling out, or simply entertaining the viewpoints of a political party? So I think that's the gray line they will have to walk, and they should go to a meeting and discuss.
And Jimmy, before you continue, there's a history of that, right? EULA almost fell apart. It descended in chaos when it happened just in the previous administration, where Nathaniel McGill was invited. So you already have something to look at. This is not new territory.
Yeah. Somebody type here, they say money talks. You know, they left the last part off. I think it was William Jala. He's telling you, Anthony, look, money talks. So it's unfortunate if we're going to sell out for money. And whereby I would entertain the viewpoints of other political entities, but if it's purely driven for begging, then I think you're compromising your integrity as an organization. So I think they need to walk a thin line. But I don't know if EULA is the organization, if it once was. Like I was telling you, in the 70s, they were a big thorn in the True Party flesh. Back in the day, it was one of those. Stubber went to New York and it was on fire. So I think we've seen a evolution here of that organization, and I think they may need to redefine themselves. And just like you said, because they have leadership issues, because they're deviating from their central theme, their way they were doing things before. So I think that's why the leadership issues exist today.
When I was in a meeting when the VP visited Philadelphia, and the president of EULA spoke. And he spoke something that said that was excitement, which was like an endorsement of Vice President Kuhn for 2029. He said, when you are ready, we are.
Yes.
Right? And
yeah,
so
I remember that.
It's coming from that thing too. And people, sometimes they also look at Keita, what is his proximity with Musability, both from Nimba, to what extent, what has influenced this selection? And so questions are being raised. And sometimes it could be there is no there, but sometimes you avoid being distracted from your main goal by some of these things.
Right. That's what I told about. You're losing your integrity and your autonomy. So it made me lose its meaningfulness if they're not careful.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mr. T.
And I think EULA occupy a very huge space to represent Liberians in the diaspora, especially America. And I think it's in the Americans, of Liberian organization in the Americans. And so to represent a country, there's so much EULA can do to command the respect that it's begging for. I see it as begging for respect when they call a political operative or political actor. And sometimes the motivation is so that the person can contribute to them. And, I will re-echo my point that, look, if EULA could find a way with the Liberian government, and if possible, the U.S. government, to raise money, all right, and that it has a stable source of revenue generation year over year, that it is implementing projects in Liberia. EULA will be the darling. EULA will be the proud of every Liberian. So to the leaders in EULA, I'm not saying this is easy. But that is what leadership requires, that you do the hard thinking, you made a tough decision, and that you take on big and bold projects, that will elevate you. And that is what Eula need to do. I've been very harsh on Eula. I don't have my sentiment about them, and they all know it. But I think it comes from a good place. And it speaks to me too. Whoever, even here, I focus on Liberia. Daniel and myself are having a conversation today. What are we doing with this Liberian, media institution that people cherish so much? I mean, we're just sitting here with it. So I'm criticizing myself openly here. What are we doing with this? This should be the CNN of Liberia. But it's just, it's like it's not going anywhere. So you have people, the same way are criticizing you, are criticizing us too. What are we doing with this? And, so we have to sometimes or always challenge ourselves, push ourselves, demand more of ourselves, and so that, we can bring about the transformation that we need. It's just a fact. We're in a very good place. We live in the wealthiest country, so much goodwill here. Anything that we want to do, we can achieve it. We just have to do it. And I think we have not been doing much enough.
That's all the time we have for the show tonight. I think it was a good discussion. I can feel it when the discussion is good, and I hope you enjoy it. And even those who will watch later, continue to watch and share our show. We are the best in the business.
Then we are the best. Now we need to demand the best for ourselves.
Yeah, let's conclude. And something is cooking. Something is cooking. The idea that this institution cannot remain here, and we are tired waiting to return to what many call pre-war stage, because the pre-war stage was not even good enough, right? How about a TV station that's going to do these things in Liberia and beyond, that's going to cover this media space from Cape Mount to Cape Palmas? From Nimba Mountain to the swamp of Bezon, from Bombay Hills all the way to Bokonjere. We can do it. You're closing, Mr. Sia, and then Jimmy will follow as we close the show tonight.
And then I will only close on one of the topics we discussed, which is the CMC. Look, the CNC is trying to use money now to recruit. That is a good thing. I want to remind all of us, from our following of Liberian politics, no political candidate or no candidate for president has ever won the election in Liberia because they spend the most money. Those who spend money, use cash violence to win election, have been representative and senatorial candidates. But on the presidential level, it has never happened. We believe that Cummings has money. He has put out some money. He has not succeeded. Vanish Sherman spent some money. He did not succeed. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf won not because she spent money. George Weah won not because he spent money. No, it was not about money. At the end of the day, the people will decide will go with who the thing at the time is best. And so if you are a political actor in Liberia, you must spend money. No question about that. But know that you will not win because you spend money. So it will be about strategy. How do you spend your money is key. And that is what I want to leave with our people.
Jimmy?
Yeah. And to add to what Anthony just said, I think the successful politicians in Liberia, they ride a wave. And if these politicians like CMC or Musa Belede, Cummings, or whoever is running, you have to pick a wave and ride that wave into the predecessors and saying, well, what do I mean by a wave? There are certain things that appeal to Liberian people, and all of a sudden you see them going just like how the sheep follow the other. Remember when they will go walking in the poo-poo water? They would say walking in the poo-poo water. That was a wave that was coming in, and the same wave that we rode as well. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf also rode a wave, even though there was CDC that was there, but there were those people who were saying that, they said, I'm an Ellenist. I used to go around and I used to hear that, say, well, I'm not a UP person, but I'm an Ellenist. So she had that celebrity influence, that appeal. that she could ride on. So likewise, this election that will be held in 2029, whoever the candidates are, they will have to have that kind of appeal. Just like Anthony was saying, it's not going to be won by money, but you're going to have that special appeal that you'll be able to ride in on a white horse to the presidency.
On that note, we're going to close with a song that says, "We are all Liberians." Thanks for watching, and have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians.